Hello, everybody, and welcome to our latest free Zoom webinar. Today's topic regarding AIM is going to be the new AIM calculator that Brett has created and invented, and we've been getting rave reviews from many people trying it out. So he will go into more detail and give you a live demonstration of the calculator.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Hi, everyone. I'm Brett Hoffstadt, and I'm going to give you a tutorial and demonstration of the brand new online AIM trading calculator. All right, I'm sharing you this from my development panel, so you'll see some other things on the screen. But here's the website, and you'll see now, starting in guest mode, you're able to do a calculation, but the function is limited. But we'll start here in a guest mode, and you see here it says guest mode. So you do not need to log in, create an account to use this to some extent, but I'll show you. Here's a version history if you want to look at the details. All right, so scroll down, and here's your initial asset information. And I've already filled this in with placeholders. So you'll see there's an asset type. I just made up a symbol here. This tool does not look at the actual market data. So you can use whatever symbol you want. You can add up to 9 characters. So if you want to, you know, add some little shortcuts or nicknames for an asset, you can do that too. One person asked, what if I am tracking assets for both myself and my spouse, but they're the same asset? You can then put a dash and some other codes there if you want. All right, so here's the leaps, and you fill in this information: strike price, expiration date for leaps, your purchase price, number of contracts, and using the AIM method, it calculates your initial cash position. You can hover over this anytime you see an eye with a circle. That's an information bubble, and that tells you for leaps in crypto, we use a 1-to-1 ratio, but you can change this number if you want, and you'll see if you do change it, it will give you a warning, and you can either make it higher or greater, and you can decide, pick any number you want there. And also, I'll show you if you pick a different asset, let's go to ETF, then you don't need a strike price and expiration date. Same thing happens with a stock. The cash position changes, and you hover over this, and it also tells you now we set the cash to 50% value, but that also you can change. Let's go back to leaps, and I'll just put in some values here again. All right. So you set these all to the initial value, the initial purchase that you want. Click this button to calculate your AIM parameters. Now there's an error here because we're still in guess mode. I'll explain that later. But here now it does some basic calculations. You can use this bubble to learn more about this. It says that it's treating this as its own asset. So the portfolio value only refers to this asset. And it tells you how many contracts you have, what your cash to leaps ratio is, and that's the information you put in initially. Now here's your calculation options. Here also you can hover over this. This explains that these are default values. And so here you have 3 options for strategy. You can do a regular AIM strategy, you can do bear strategy, or lean AIM. And here you can tell here's your buy target percent drop amount, the next sale, which is a percent increase of the price target, and your safe amount. And so you can change these. Let's say you want to be more aggressive, you can make this 25% price change. But also you can use these buttons. So watch when I change this. If it's a bear strategy, now the buy target is waiting for a 50% drop. And if it's lean aim only deals with a sell, no buy. So you see this grayed out. Okay, so, but these again are guidelines. You can change these. You can also look for the arrows and use that to increase the amounts like that, or you can type them in by typing them in. All right, so let's say we're happy with this. And so now you click this button, calculate your AIM recommendations. Now you'll see some important legal disclaimers. This requires you to read these and scroll down. And basically, this is telling you that this is for educational use only. This is not recommending you purchase any specific securities or make any particular investments. That's all your responsibility. And likewise, whatever money you earn from doing this, using this tool, learning this AIM method, that's your responsibility. Also, you get to keep that money. But you read this, you have to acknowledge this every time. Click I agree. And now there's one more alert box here to tell you that after you see these recommended numbers, you do not have to use them if you actually enter a trade later. Okay, and you'll see that as we go. So you click I understand for that. And now here are the AIM calculator results. And this is the big reveal and big value for this tool. It uses all the AIM methodology from Jeff Weber and Robert Lichello and all the improvements that Jeff has put into his books, like AIM for Million with stock options. You see behind me there. I've done my best to put all those algorithms in here, all the logic, and let you set the parameters yourself and come up with these recommendations. So there's a recommended limit buy order and a limit sell order. And the benefit of using a limit order, if you actually put these in, is the trade happens automatically as soon as these prices are hit, which, as you know, is the A in AIM is automatic. So these are the results here, and there's more information here also. Here's another info box that lets you know that when you click the trade confirm button, it does not have to be these numbers. I'll show you. I'll show you this. You don't. It can be different numbers, but these are what the tool comes up with. And you'll see a warning here. Whenever you see a warning, you can hover over that also. This says it's less than the expected number, and it gives you some options, recommendations for how to change that number. And if you want to look at the details for how these numbers were calculated, you look at this, expand to reveal the details. So you click this button here, and now it reveals some variables that come from AIM. So it's the next buy amount, it's the safe value, it's the percent of cash used, and some other values here you see, and some number of contracts guidelines. Like here's the minimum number of contracts for buys. For a sell, guidelines say you should sell at least 20% of your contracts, which is 4. And so that's why this number 3 has a warning. All right. So that's the process to make a recommendation for a trade. Pretty straightforward. And if you want to change, if you see these numbers, you want something different, you can change your parameters up here, click this recalculate button, and then it will give you another result. So let's say I try to confirm, I click this button, and now here you'll see, because I'm in guest mode, it will not let you do this because the tool needs to save your results and enter and use a database. So you can read this, you'll see the limitations. So let's create an account. All right. So I'm going to make a guest account here. And you'll see, if you didn't know this, you can add a plus and a number to any email and it gets treated like a new email. So we'll do that. And one other thing I'll tell you, just my pet peeve. In most websites, it automatically hides your password so you can't see what you're typing. For this, I made it to display by default because I assume we're not working in a auditorium with everybody looking at our spreadsheet or at our computer, so you can see that. All right, so now I'm going to create an account. And now we're back. So here's my account, just for demonstration purposes. And now it did lose what I entered before, so you'll have to recreate that. So you see it says add your first asset. But one thing I want to show you first is once you do have an account, a couple things happen. First, the settings and your account history are here. So here's some settings you can change. You can set your region, your date format, and that helps you there. And when you want to upgrade or purchase your options, you go to account right here, and then it will give you some options. Now be sure to watch until the end because we have a special bonus for everyone that starts a subscription to this AIM trading calculator if you do it this month during the launch period. So the way this works is you can purchase individual credits for each calculation. That would be considered one-time purchase. Or you can have a subscription plan that gives you full access for as many trades and as many assets as you want. And right now, because of our launch period, we have special deals. So I'll show you that real quick. For a launch discount, normally our single trade calculation will be $9.95, but for this launch period, it's a $2 discount. And we'll also have a 5-pack for 5 trade recommendations and calculations. That'll work out to $7.95 per trade. But now with the launch special, it's reduced to $5.95 per trade if you get a 5-pack. So you can choose that. And for subscriptions, we have 2 options, but also some discounts with the launch of the program. So normally a monthly subscription for full access for as many assets and trades as you want will be $39.95 per month. Or if you get a full year in advance, it will work out to $29.95 per month. But now with the launch until January 31st, you can get these reduced price subscriptions, either $34.95 per month or works out to $24.95 per month on an annual basis if you pay for that. And once you have these subscriptions, as long as you maintain it, that price will hold forever. But after January 31st, these 2 options are going to go away. So now's your chance to take advantage of one of those. But that is in your account portal. And if you do the one-time purchases, that will be for a certain number of credits. Those credits will show up here. And subscription plans do not need credits because you can do as much as you want. It keeps it simple. All right. And also you see everyone, when you start a new account, you'll have a free 10 days of trial where you can have full access, do as much as you want with the calculator for 10 days. And now you see that started. So, and when you come back up here, you'll see it says free trial active and it gives you a countdown so you know how many days are remaining. All right, so let's do a new asset. We'll do this again. We'll do leaps. I'll make something else again here. And we'll put this in. We'll say the purchase date was last year. We'll give it a price. Okay, and we'll give a quantity of 20. Here's another info bubble. This tells you, depending on the asset, it's either contracts or shares or coins. Okay, and it tells you the initial cash amount. We'll just go with that. We'll leave it be with the defaults there. You click create asset. Now you see it working. Okay, now you'll see that it told you our initial buy, and you can scroll down. Here's your initial details. Here's your calculation options again. So let's just click the recommendations here. You'll get the same legal disclaimer acknowledgement. Click agree. Now you'll get the same information that you'll be able to change your trade confirmation once you get it. All right, and now here's our recommendations again for the buy and sell. And I can hide that unless you have questions about that. All right, so let's say we'll do the sell. We'll confirm we had a sell, but let's say we knew that we should have had 4 contracts instead of 5. So we can change. So here's now where you can confirm the sell happened. It shows you what was recommended, but here's where you can actually change what happened. So let's say I made it 4 units, 4 contracts instead of 3. And let's say I waited some reason. I didn't have a limit order. I just saw the market. So it sold at $30. Okay, so you can do that, and I'll say it happened a couple days ago, and now it tells you how much your actual numbers differed from the recommended values. Okay, and you can reset if you want. And then down here, it shows you the impact for your portfolio based on your numbers. Shows you what your current holdings are, what will happen after the trade. Okay, so you can review this. You can close the window and go back, but you'll lose the numbers you entered. But let's just confirm the trade, see what happens. Now it's loading, updating the database. Now it tells you this, the trade is confirmed. Again, this is not actually interacting with any brokerage account. It's not interacting with the live market. This is all self-contained in the calculator because it's meant as an educational tool. So it's relying on you to enter all the numbers and make the decisions about what happened. And you can even use this for paper trading or hypothetical trading for that reason. All right, so now here's a key question. It tells you the impact, and now you have to consider, do you want to save this into the database and allow it to make another calculation, or you don't? I think in every case you would want to do that, but I built this so that you just are very clear that you have to acknowledge this if you want to update a database. And this is something you cannot do in guest mode because it has to save data particular to you. So let's update the database. And now we'll see two trades. We can scroll up, and now you see it's building a trade history. And here's your initial buy. Here's trade number 2, and it indicates clearly whether it's a buy or a sell. And here's a delete asset if you want to do that eventually. But what it does now is it creates some more value for you here. Here's a historical performance chart. So it shows you this, it shows you whether you had a buy or sell. It shows you the asset value, shows you the cash amount, and the total portfolio value for that asset. And it tells you also here's a summary of which asset it is, the strike price, expiration date, if it's assuming a leaps. And let's do this. I'll show you if you want to make this into your own spreadsheet, keep your own notes outside of the calculator. I recommend that. So you click this Export CSV button. That gives you a file. And now I will go look at that file and open it up for you. So with a CSV file, that is called comma separated value, and you can use that with any spreadsheet program you have. All right, here's the spreadsheet file. So it shows you, here's the symbol that you created, shows you the details about expiration, strike price, your trading dates, and the trade index. As you build more trades for an asset, it will list those below here. It tells you the price, the units, the cash amount, cash ratio, all the things you would need to do the AIM calculations yourself, so you can check the math yourself. It tells you portfolio control and portfolio value. All right, so if you do happen to see anything you question about these calculations, uh, if it's something you think is technical or a question about the website, please contact me. If it's a question about how to do AIM investing, what assumptions to make, what values to use, then please contact Jeff because he is the expert AIM investor and he taught me along with everyone else. Okay, now I want to show you what happens when you have a lot of assets for a full portfolio and what this calculator can do for you. And here I am in my own account that I've been using the calculator with. All right, so you scroll down. Once you have a lot of assets, it gives you a total portfolio review here. This shows a total value with total assets, total cash, gives you a percentage there, tells you your initial investment for all your initial buys, and the portfolio control across everything. And then the assets are filtered here by category. So you see there's leaps, ETFs, and stocks. I haven't made any crypto yet as a test, but you do this and then you can expand each one, and it gives you a card for each asset that you have. So here you see, for instance, these leaps tells you the number of contracts, how much cash is currently there, portfolio value, current value, and your profit loss, and the number of trades you'd had for each one. All right, so that's pretty nice, I think. Also gives you a countdown for the expirations, how many days until the leaps is expired. That's also helpful. All right, and you can expand for ETFs. I've played with a few of these too. Gives you information here. It shows you it's an ETF. Gives you the values, profit and loss, number of trades. A lot of this, folks, are just pretend values I've done here. But there you go. And then stocks, you can expand this, and it tells you the results here, a similar card for each one. And then whenever you want to do something for one of these, to do a calculation or a trade, you just click the card, brings it up, shows what you have here. It shows you your history. You can look at each of these trades if you want. You can look at your chart to show how things have done over time. You can export the spreadsheet, and then it gets you ready to do your next calculation based on everything that's happened before, as long as you've saved it into a database. All right, so that's one trade. And then if you want to go back to your dashboard to look at everything, you just click this button here, dashboard, and now you're back to the total portfolio overview with everything. All right, and again, we're eager to hear from you with feedback or questions about this tool. If you have any AIM investing questions, talk to Jeff. And if you have any issues or challenges with this, one way to do that is to use this banner at the top, share feedback. I might change this to say something else, but there should be a button up here at the website where you can contact me directly to submit a ticket, a question, anything like that. So, and then also for a special incentive for everyone who takes advantage of this when we launch, you'll also get Jeff's monthly list and weekly list of recommended leaps. So I'll show you that next.
And ETFs.
And ETFs. And so here's an example of that. Some of you are benefiting from this already. So as we know, figuring out AIM calculations is one thing, but then the bigger question is, what do you actually buy initially, to invest with? And that's where Jeff has really offered this great service, because he's looking at the market every week and everyone's portfolios every week.
These are all current. When you get your list on Saturday, it's based on the prices that closed on Friday. And so you're ready. You got Saturday and Sunday to decide if you want to buy any. And you see the ones in green are the leveraged ETFs, and the ones in white background are the leaps. And I go into great detail, including I even show the strike price I like, the ownership on that particular strike price, the stock prices for the underlying stock or ETF
list. And then for everyone, here's the monthly list you'll also get every month you do this. Jeff, tell them about this.
Right. On these are the roughly 180 stocks that I like leaps on. On this particular one, I'm showing you all of the stocks. If you're a type of person who doesn't like buying leaps or even leveraged ETFs, these would be stocks that AIM would work well with, and you would do the same basic principle that I teach you with leveraged ETFs. You would use a 10% buy and sell difference. So all the pink you see on this sheet every month is reflecting dividend information. In the far column, you see the percent. I update that every month. So that is always changing from month to month. So you're always getting the latest information. And at the very end of the master list, I update all of the leveraged ETFs that I like, mostly from Dirixian. I think a few might not be Dirixian, but I think they are. And again, you see there's about 7 of them, 8 of them, as a matter of fact, that pay a nice dividend. When you're buying and selling with 10%, you get a heck of a lot of buys and sells. You'll average a buy or sell at least about once a week.
But this is a great spreadsheet if you want to look for the
But
best
this is
leaps
a
or
great
ETFs to buy.
combination package just to
Yeah.
get my leaps and leverage ETF lists and Brett's calculator, and you've just about got everything you need to be a very successful AIM investor and make high profits for the rest of your life. We never rely on what we've done in the past. We're always trying to improve in the future. So we hope, we're giving you what you want. So we'll always love suggestions and questions so we can learn what the needs of our clients are and we can give it to you.